This is the Transforming Anxiety podcast with Kelly Hanlon McCormick, and today is episode number 192. Anxiety is okay. Welcome to Transforming Anxiety. I'm your host, Kelly McCormick. I'm a mom to 2 boys, a wife, friend, daughter, and sister, and I'm a certified life coach, yoga teacher, and soon-to-be mindfulness meditation teacher. I'm no stranger to anxiety, and I'm here to teach you how to manage your mind and your emotions so that you too can transform anxiety into calm, peace, and whatever you want for your life. I'm so glad you're here. Hey there. Welcome in today. Listen, I'm kind of excited about this one. Anxiety is okay. So let's just get right to it, okay? Because today we're going to talk about anxiety. We don't do that a whole lot around here directly, which is by design. I'm not looking to talk about anxiety so much as I'm looking to talk about what we want instead of anxiety, right? How we want to feel, the lives we want to create, the transforming anxiety part. But today I want to talk about how anxiety is okay. Something I think we forget to bring attention to and remember as we have these discussions about how you want to think and feel and how you want to live your life, about transforming anxiety, right, is that we have this underlying assumption that anxiety is bad, that it is absolutely something to be avoided, to resist, to get rid of. And today, I want to call all of that into question and to explore the idea that anxiety actually is okay and that there's a few different ways that we could go about it. Kelly McGonigal wrote, "Stress happens when something you care about is at stake. It's not a sign to run away. It's a sign to step forward." I love this definition of stress. And I think it applies to anxiety too. It happens when something you care about is at stake. What if it's not a sign to run away? What if we treated stress and anxiety as signs to step forward? I love this. All right, a few notes on anxiety to start with. One is that anxiety is the emotional component of the stress response. Like in some ways, it's fundamentally part of the human experience, right? The stress response is a physiological reaction to danger. We don't not want that, right? This is one way to do anxiety. It's one experience of anxiety, and that's that fight or flight that we all talk about. We all know what this feels like. When your body hits the stress response button and your system gets flooded with adrenaline and cortisol, your heart is pounding, your palms are sweaty, your body instantaneously arms itself to either fight or flee. If you think about it, this is kind of cool. It's kind of amazing, really, that you can go from 0 to fully prepared to either fight for your life or make a run for it. So that's fight or flight. And the counter to this, and we've talked about this around here before, is the rest and digest response. This is the relaxation response. So if your body gets activated, the sympathetic nervous system responds to a perceived threat and kicks the fight or flight stress response into action. This is the opposite of that. This is the parasympathetic nervous system cooling things down, where you literally move towards rest and digestion, fueling up and recuperating so that, think of the animal world here, you can be prepared for the next time you need to fight or flee. So you know about this. You're familiar with these, especially if you've been hanging out here with me. And when we consider the idea that anxiety is okay, it's good to take a look at this and recognize this is anxiety, right? At least these are 2 aspects of anxiety. These are possibilities where anxiety is concerned because there's more. And that's what I want to explore today. Anxiety beyond the fight or flight stress response and the counter response, even rest and digest, that relaxation response. So, a quote from Jon Kabat-Zinn. He wrote, "We must be willing to encounter darkness and despair when they come up and face them over and over again if need be, without running away or numbing ourselves in the thousands of ways we conjure up to avoid the unavoidable." Now, Jon Kabat-Zinn is the mindfulness-based stress reduction guy. This is the world he works in, right? Using mindfulness as a stress reduction tool. And there's this way of thinking about stress and anxiety. We must be willing to encounter the darkness and despair when they come up and face them. Like, that's one way of going about it. Yeah? Okay, so here's some more specific ways to work with this. One way to consider anxiety, well, instead of labeling it bad, what if we considered the excite and delight angle instead? I love this idea, this concept. Think about it. Excitement and anxiety are very similar. Like when you feel anxious, when you feel excited, it feels pretty much the same in your body. Butterflies in your tummy, racing heart, sweaty palms, they're remarkably similar. So what's the difference between anxiety and excitement? The situation, the story, the experience that you're having, the difference is how you're thinking about it. That's the difference. Riding a roller coaster? Excited. Getting ready to give a presentation? Anxious. But same damn feeling. You see? So here's what I want to offer. What if you feel, quote unquote, anxious about something? When this happens, what if you can see that and maybe reframe it as excitement? So there's a few questions you can ask to shift from anxiety, that fight or flight stress mode, towards excite and delight. What's really happening here? Meaning, am I under threat? Do I need to fight or flee? Or is this an opportunity? Something new, something important to me? Remember what Kelly McGonigal said earlier. Stress happens when something you care about is at stake. Is there something you care about here? Now, another question. What else might be going on here that I'm not seeing? Sometimes we get so into the weeds with something, so fixated on doing things well or appearing a certain way or being successful that we forget to zoom out and perhaps be grateful. Perhaps enjoy the moment. Perhaps connect with someone. What else might be going on here that I'm not seeing? Could this be exciting or delightful in some way that I'm currently missing because I've got blinders on and all I'm seeing is anxiety and stress? Last question. What's interesting about this situation? Like simply opening up to curiosity and wonder can curb anxiety and lean us towards excitement or delight. What's interesting about this situation? Almost every situation is interesting. You with me? The people, the places, like whatever's involved, whole stories and pasts and experiences that brought us to this moment. What's interesting? Could I delight in that instead of spinning in anxiety? All right, so there's excite and delight. Using the same feeling in your body and inviting in a different story. Leaning towards a different feeling state because you're choosing intentionally to see things differently in the moment. Kind of cool. All right, David Foster Wallace said that sometimes human beings have to just sit in one place and hurt. That you will become way less concerned with what other people think of you when you realize how seldom they do. That there is such a thing as raw, unalloyed, agendaless kindness. that it is possible to fall asleep during an anxiety attack, that concentrating on anything is very hard work. So just another way to think of anxiety, right? We sometimes have to be with it. That's a question I love to use with my students when they're experiencing something hard or confusing or infuriating. Can you be with this? Sometimes human beings have to just sit in one place and hurt. Yeah. All right, another way is to think of anxiety from a tend and befriend perspective instead of fight or flight. So if there's the stress response, fight or flight, right, and the relaxation response, which is that rest and digest, think of this as the bonding response. So you know that humans and animals have the fight or flight stress response in common, right? It's something we all use in dangerous or threatening situations. Tend and befriend is a newly discovered, more recently coined and studied term, and it started actually by focusing on females, but it's expanded to include all humans. The tend part is where we turn to our children, our offspring, and we seek to care for and protect them. We're tending to them. The befriend part is where we seek out social support in times of stress. This makes sense, right? Both fight or flight and tend and befriend are evolutionary responses that developed over time to help humans survive. Strength in numbers. It takes a village. We're all here for you, right? These are all common things. These are all ways that are so common in our cultural vocabulary to talk about, to share with each other. And they all hint at this tend and befriend bonding response when someone is under stress. So here's the invitation. When you feel anxious, when you notice that first glimmer of anxiety in your body, you have some options. You could travel down the same path you always have, panic, freaking out, having a meltdown, right? These are all ways I hear students describe their experience of anxiety. Or you could seek another option. Can you cultivate the relaxation response and move towards rest and digest? Can you see the situation in another way and purposefully bring about the excite and delight aspect in it? Or could you use it as an opportunity to tend and befriend, caring for those around you and rallying support for yourself? Frederick Bachman, he wrote this. Excuse me. Some people accept that they will never be free of their anxiety. They just learn to carry it. She tried to be one of them. She told herself that was why you should always be nice to other people, even idiots, because you never know how heavy their burden is. All right, that quote is from his book, Anxious People, which is a fabulous title for a book, and one that I wish were available for the book that I want to write, but that's all right. We'll come up with another title. His is fiction. I highly recommend it. It's great. But also this quote, some people accept that they will never be free of their anxiety. They just learn to carry it. Yes, we don't need to be free of it nearly as much as we need to learn how to be with it, to carry it alongside us. I promise that's an okay way to go about it. Tend and befriend, excite and delight when you can. Because not always, I get that. Don't use these as weapons against yourself. Just know they're options, that they're out there, that there are many, many avenues forward where anxiety is concerned, and these are two well-studied and very helpful pathways to explore. So I hope this one gives you some ideas, some things to consider. Just a few different ways to view anxiety, the emotion and the experience that you have of it. We don't have to stay locked in an anxiety loop. We don't have to make anxiety mean bad things. We don't have to keep telling anxiety-inducing stories about anxiety. It's well worth considering what else is possible, how you could view it differently, how the same experience in your body could be used as fuel and as energy instead of as dread and gloom. All right, I will be back at the same time, same place next week for more Transforming Anxiety. Please give the show a quick rating and review. I would appreciate it. And until next time, please take care. Do you have someone to help you with your stress, anxiety, worry, and overwhelm? If not, I would love to be your coach. The Fierce Calm Project is my virtual coaching program where we get to go in on topics like this one, and I can help you apply these lessons to your life so that you're creating your own transformation. We do live coaching calls, guided meditations, on-demand yoga classes. We hold book club where we read books your neighborhood book club won't, and there's lots of bonus content that I've created just for you. When you're ready to take what you're learning on the podcast to a whole other level, then come on over and check out the Fierce Calm Project at kellyhanlonmccormick.com/Fierce Calm Project.